The premier is expressing optimism today that a deal can be reached on the with the U.S. on softwood lumber. It comes during a meeting in Victoria this morning involving Canada's ambassador to the U.S. and BC's newly appointed trade envoy.
So thank you. Thank you, Ambassador McNaughton, for joining us, and David Emerson for joining our team to help with us working on softwood.
Christy Clark joined by Canadian Ambassador David McNaughton and Trade Envoy David Emerson at a special cabinet meeting. They discussed how to respond to recent American threats about imposing new tariffs on BC lumber. Emerson was the federal trade minister when the last lumber agreement with the U.S. was signed.
The change in the United States could signal we have an opportunity to have a change in attitude about how important getting a softwood lumber agreement is for both sides.
I would not approach it as though we can just redarn the old socks and we'll be fine. I think we've got to take a fresh look at it in terms of a top to bottom reassessment of today's conditions and the political pressures that are quite different today than they were 10 years ago.
But I must tell you that we have had nothing but cooperation from Donald Trump and his team. We met with Jared Kushner, with Steve Bannon, with Prebus, with his media people. They've been forthcoming. We don't agree on everything, but we focused on the things we do agree on, and they've been nothing short of, they've given us lots of time, lots of access, and have been very, very forthcoming.
They get it, and they understand what's going on.
New Brunswick Treasury Board President and Minister responsible for trade policy, Roger Melanson, believes our southern neighbors are well aware of the benefits of the province's forestry sector.
American consumers needs our lumber at a competitive price, because at the end of the day, if cost increases, it's going to be consumers paying for that.
Indeed, those costs could be rising. On Tuesday, the U.S. Department of Commerce will make a determination concerning duty exclusion agreements between the two countries that have been in place since 1982 and expired recently.
We believe exclusion is where it needs to remain.
New Brunswick's forestry sector is a key piece of the province's economic puzzle. 22,000 jobs, a billion-dollar industry. Those in charge say they're not taking it lightly.
We got to be very mindful of the fact that anything that we do could be going down a very slippery slope. So we have to be very careful with what it is we do. That's why we've been working hand in hand with the federal government, with our own task force that's been set up with the Softwood Lumber Coalition.
They seem to be dropping the ball on this and not moving forward.
Opposition forestry critic Ross Wetmore thinks not enough has been done to prepare for the worst case scenario.
If you know it's going to expire, why do you wait 1 month before the duties are going to start to have a task force?
The province's task force was set up in addition to a federal-provincial joint effort to tackle the issue head-on. Both were created just recently. The government says the mandate of both is to determine and mitigate any negative impacts that could be seen if next week's decision changes lumber exports as we know it. Still, Melanson says there is a process in place to advocate for the industry after the fact, if need be. Jeremy Keefe, Global News, Fredericton.